Hey world, is Patrick Lovell coming to you on the 14th of September at approximately 12:30 my time. And just a quick truth bomb today. In this one, I'm just making a personal reach out to all of you MAGAs out there. Hey, I feel so sorry for you guys. I feel bad. I really do. Look, the DOJ is fucking coming after your boy Chump. And they're circling the news, man. Not like it was very difficult. It took them a long enough time to do it, but it's amazing to see all of the quote unquote snowflake media just giddy beyond giddy, because really what it comes down to, my friends, is that Mr. Trump, the private citizen that he is, because he's not the president of the United States, is going to go down for Donald Trump versus the United States for fraud against the United States in a million different directions. But I really honestly feel bad for those of you, and I don't mean this too snarky, too sarcastically. I'm sure a few of you are going to go pick up your rifles right now, and you're going to try to put me in your sights. But a lot of you are good people and decent people, and a lot of you aren't Confederates, and a lot of you aren't Nazis. You're just so fed up and furious with the system that you can't stand the fact that somebody like the Obama administration allowed all of the things that took place that ultimately destroyed your life, and then ultimately led to anybody but Hillary, right, or anybody but Biden, or anybody who's not a part of the Democratic machine over the course of the last 4 decades. And so, you're kind of at a loss. What are you going to do, right? Well, I just want to remind you that as this discussion starts to evolve about Trumpenstein being in the crosshairs of fraud against the United States of America, that I hate to use the little hands approach. Did I just say that? He's small potatoes compared to what it is your boy Patrick Lovell here has been revealing to the world for a very long time. It took me a very long time to aggregate, and millions upon millions of dollars to aggregate, to get it right, to cross my T's, dot my I's, know exactly what I'm talking about, to prove that Federal Reserve Act 13-3 was used illegally to bankroll, to backstop, to guarantee with a full faith and credit the big boys, the guys that Donald Trump always wanted to be a part of. In fact, when he came in to drain the swamp, he put these guys in to run his administration, okay? But here we are, Donald Trump, the private citizen of the United States, is Donald Trump versus the United States, and he's going to go down for fraud, just like Steve Bannon is, okay? Fraud is not shenanigans, like Hillary Rodham Clinton famously quipped. But most notably, and this one, my MAGA friends that aren't neo-Nazis or Confederates, I'm giving this to you as a freebie, okay? President Obama went on 60 Minutes with Steve Kroft to say to the world, and I think there was something like north of 50 million viewers of this, and it was huge. And he said something famously like, well, Steve, from a 40,000-foot view, some of what Wall Street did, as unethical as it was, some of it wasn't illegal. Which is lawyer gymnastics speak for Obama literally made the biggest lie in history, okay? Honestly, in terms of what it is that we've revealed to you in the con, by the way, www.thecon.tv. And that lie led directly, look, God's coming down with the thunder. You got to listen to what I'm telling you. It's in God's hands. I cracked myself up. I'm sorry. But literally, Obama's lying that led to him, walking after, he let Wall Street get away with, $30 trillion for destroying 50 to 100 million Americans. Now, again, Obama didn't create all this stuff. All of the stuff that happened came before Obama. Obama was there to just clean it up. Mr. That mainstream would love us to believe is just this guy who is so perfect. He has such a beautiful family, which he does, and he's so smart, and he's so, he's like this personification of the American dream, right? Except he covered for the largest criminal conspiracy and cover-up in history that decimated the African-American community first and then got everybody else. I think 60% of all African American household wealth evaporated because of the 2008 Great Financial Crisis. And if you see our, it's insane. If you see our story, The Con, www.thecon.tv, you'll see how it affected people like Miss Addie Polk. Miss Addie Polk, who was literally, she was an angel from the heavens, man, that opened up the Pandora's box to reveal the ultimate revelation. We found the only RICO conviction in the entire story. The only guy that did the job that the government was supposed to do was a gentleman who was the AG at the time, and he was flawed, but his name is Mark Dan. And he and the Summit County Task Force put together a RICO conviction of a smaller level player that was happening, you know, at the highest levels of Wall Street. They should have all been taken down by RICO. And this was, by the way, corroborated by none other than former director of the FBI white-collar investigations, third in command at the FBI, a gentleman by the name of Chris Wecker, who incidentally is a Republican. And he said that after the 2008 Great Financial Crisis, in fact, I should say this. When I first called Mr. Swecker, he said, I've been waiting for this phone call for 6 years. And he told us the whole deal. He said that white-collar criminals are the most sophisticated criminals in the world. And what should have happened in 2011 was that a bunch of CEOs should have gone to prison. So President Obama, being the constitutional law expert he is, it came out, of course, you know, Harvard. Good for you, Harvard, to teach, you know, the smartest people in our society to lie for the aristocracy, to betray Main Street, to betray liberty and justice for all, to betray the integrity of law, which is exactly what Covington and Burling did. And by the way, you know, which gave us Lenny Brewer and, of course, none other than Eric Holder. But there's a lot of scuttlebutt right now, you know, with William Barr, you know, doing a lot of stuff that would weaponize the DOJ on behalf of Donald Trump. And, of course, everybody's favorite bullshit artist, as far as I'm concerned, besides Trump, is Rachel Maddow and Tucker Carlson and Anderson Cooper. But Rachel Maddow gets paid $30 million a year, and she's actually smart. But she cherry picks what's going on, and she's like, oh, my God, look at what this guy Berman, who was the, you know, Southern District of Manhattan prosecutor, and he's going to, you know, reveal to us all of these times that the Justice Department under the walrus, William Barr, he just looks like a walrus to me. And, of course, don't forget I always make fun of Anderson Cooper, because if you see Anderson Cooper out on the street, call him Zoolander. The bottom line is he's a joke. He's Zoolander. And William Barr is a fucking walrus. Okay? Who didn't see that William Barr was up to so much no good while he was the Attorney General? Of course he's going to be up to no good. He's the Attorney General under Trump. But there was already a precedent. In fact, you know, yesterday, Kenneth Starr passed away, and he was special prosecutor that spent like, $60 to $70 million to try to take Clinton down on, you know, getting a blowjob in the Oval Office, and he got him impeached, but then everything that was in the Clinton years, when meanwhile, you know, we went to sleep that allowed Al-Qaeda to lead to 9/11 and everything that came with that I keep informing you about. Not to mention President Clinton, everybody's favorite, oh yeah, you know, we had, you know, we were ahead of the game. I mean, we didn't have a deficit, and, you know, the Clinton years were spectacular because he deregulated. He created deregulation and insane decriminalization, and coupled it with desupervision. And so therefore let Wall Street run wild. That was the whole purpose of the Clinton administration, was to fuse the Democratic Party with Wall Street. And they've been owned by Wall Street ever since, which of course incorporates Biden. But going back to the very beginning of the point of this whole thing today is that Trump, yes, is guilty of fraud against the United States of America. But he's tiny. Remember, tiny hands Trump. Tiny hands chump, stealing fucking nuclear secrets or whatever to go, you know, down to Mar-a-Lago to sell to our enemies that got away with 9/11. Well, everybody else is like, okay, look, the DOJ is doing its job, and so nobody's above the law. No man's above the law. No man or company is above the law. Meanwhile, Wall Street runs the show. Not only are they above the law, they make the law. They pay for the law. They pull the back door, and it's corruption 24/7. It's a shit show, man, and it's going to get worse, and it's not funny. It's horrific. Miss Addie Polk shot herself in the chest 5 times. How the fuck do you survive that? She survived for like 5 months after the fact. She shot herself in the chest 5 times because she didn't want to go live on the streets after having lived in her house for many decades, having been the realization of the American dream, after everything African Americans had suffered through. I mean, insane suffering from, just the entirety of slavery through what ultimately came the Great Migration with African American families that left the South to go to the industrial Midwest to get their piece of the American dream, only to have it stolen from them. And meanwhile, I'm trying to get that truth to all of the major players in the African American sort of hierarchy of influence. Everybody from Dr. Cornel West, who I actually spoke to on the phone, and he just kind of pacified me and just, he's like, hey man, we kind of know the story. No, you don't know the story, Dr. West. You're infinitely smarter than I am, but like I continue to demonstrate to everyone, you don't have to be a rocket scientist or a PhD or, absolute expert in law and everything else to understand the story that I've been laying on you. It's not rocket science. It's racketeering. In William Barber of the Poor People's Campaign, you guys talk about systemic, and Nina Turner, you guys talk about systemic racism all the time and predation, but you don't know what it is. It's in the con. And that's just one part of it. And by the way, MAGA, you guys are also predated upon. It goes back to killing the golden goose in the industry, which ultimately ties you, African Americans, quite frankly, through liars' loans and this insane volume of what created these illegal securitization of fraudulent collateral that went into, the pensions of white working class all over this country. That was like, 4 decades later of us killing the golden goose. Your destiny was tied to the destiny of African Americans. That's what the system of aristocracy thinks of everybody outside of their fold, which is the aristocracy, which, more detailed to the point, is a corporate fascist state undergirded by a criminal syndicate. And yeah, again, to finish up, Donald Trump has little hands. He's going to go down for fraud, and unless there's a civil war. And then if there's a civil war, and somehow MAGA, with its police and those out of the military that are loyal to Trump for whatever reason, because they want to return to the Confederacy, if they somehow overwhelm the state's ability to suppress that, then we're in a place that there's no turning back from. But at the same time, come on, man. You got to be able to see what it is that I've been telling you. It's the new robber barons versus the new Confederacy. And Patrick Lovell, on behalf of a higher power, is bringing truth bombs. I'm bringing truth bombs, and I'm bringing the wood because it's not rocket science. It's racketeering. And we're going to show up on the Federal Reserve on 11/1/22. 1 + 1 = 2. Get it? 1 + 1 = 2. You can't forget it. We're going to elevate this truth bomb, which is a 10-ton megaton nuclear truth bomb. Don't take that literally, because we're not enemies of the state. What we are is we're patriots trying to protect the fucking dignity and integrity of liberty and justice for all through the integrity of law by making absolutely clear to millions upon millions upon millions of Americans that we live in a corrupt system. And the only way we're going to cleanse ourselves is to purge corruption. That's it. It's the clean New Deal. I'm offering you a pathway to redemption. I don't walk on water. I don't part the Red Sea. But I know who's on my side. I love you guys. Onwards and upwards.